Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Peter Caborn. I'm the Associate Vice President for Alumni Affairs and Advancement Services at Wayne State University. I also have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of the Wayne State University Alumni Association. So on behalf of Wayne State, thank you for joining us tonight for this very special alumni program. In a few moments, we will hear from Wayne State University President, Dr. M. Roy Wilson. We'll also hear from some incredibly talented students. I'm super excited that we all get to hear from these students tonight. I do want to take a moment and acknowledge some of the other university leadership that provides support to the Alumni Association and our programs. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge the Wayne State University Board of Governors and the Honorable Marilyn Kelly, Chair of the Board of Governors. I also want to thank you, our alumni and friends from around the country who are joining us tonight for this special program. The last year has been challenging, and we'd of course prefer to be in person with you. But until we can do that again, we're happy that we're able to bring you tonight's program. This is just one of the many programs that we're offering our alumni in the virtual space. So I encourage you and invite you to check out everything that we have to offer. We have everything from digital book clubs to webinars and lectures that feature some of our beloved faculty. We have student mentorship programs that our alumni are able to volunteer for. And we have fun events like virtual wine tastings and trivia nights. You can find more information on our website at alumni.wayne.edu. On that website, you can also update your personal information, and you can share your own professional successes with us through the section called Class Notes. And finally, tonight's program actually kicks off Wayne State University's festivities for our 5th annual Giving Day. So starting tonight and heading into tomorrow until midnight tomorrow night, we're encouraging everyone to show their support for the area or areas of the university that you love the most. We'll have more details later in tonight's program on how you can participate in Giving Day, and let me be the first to say thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Wayne State University's 12th president, Dr. M. Roy Wilson. Dr. Wilson. Dr. Wilson, I believe you're muted.
Yes, I am. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here, and I wish that I could see all of you in person, but thank you for joining us. I'm going to give a very quick update. Won't spend a lot of time because I do want us to get to the students. They're always the highlight of these alumni events anyway. So let me just start off with enrollment. You know, we were really concerned last fall because of the pandemic, and we didn't know what was going to happen with our enrollment. But we did well. Our total enrollment was pretty flat. But on the bright side, we had the largest freshman class in the 153-year history of the university. It grew by about 5% from the previous year. And that previous year, our freshman class was the 3rd largest in the, by then, 152-year history. So we started with a large base and we grew that, and so that's good. We did take a hit on our international students though, and that's part of the reason why we were flat. Very excited to mention that of the increase in the freshman class, a large part of that, in fact, 55%, improvement in our African-American freshman enrollment and 18% in our Latinx freshman enrollment. So these are all very positive numbers, and we've really focused intently on growing our minority populations. Certainly, you know, one of the things that we've been focusing on for the past 7 years is our graduation rate. Our strategic plan is coming to an end now. The strategic plan was 2016 to 2021. And one of the goals that we had set was to increase our 6-year graduation rate to 50%. And we did achieve that a year early. And so I'm anticipating that this year will probably be somewhere between 53 and 54%, which is going to be a huge improvement of what it was in 2011. So we're very proud of that. Obviously, the last year has been a difficult one, and COVID has taken the headlines. We've responded, I think, in a very appropriate way, particularly in terms of helping the community out. We were guided by 3 principles in every decision that we made with respect to COVID-19. One was to ensure the safety of our community. Safety was our #1 priority, both in terms of the Wayne State community, but also the broader Detroit community in its area. Second was to continue our mission. And third was to try to hold people harmless, particularly financially, to the extent possible. We anticipated that there was going to be some people with some difficult financial circumstances, and we didn't want the pandemic, there was some circumstances outside their controls, to be something that that would adversely, affect their life and that of their families. So we try to keep people financially harmless. And also, as we plan to return to the campus, and I do think that in the fall we'll be able to do that for the most part anyway. I think we'll be a better university because we will have learned a lot from this pandemic. I was having virtual lunch with a number of students today, and they were telling me how much more activities they were able to participate in, campus-related student activities, as in the virtual format than when it was all face-to-face. And so when we do come back, I'm sure there will be some point of some level of hybrid activities, both for student activities as well as for instruction. We were pretty slow in adopting remote and online learning previously, but when the pandemic came and we didn't have a choice, we pivoted very, very quickly. And I think faculty realized that, it's really not that bad. In fact, many faculty now enjoy it, and they prefer teaching that way. So we're probably going to have a lot more online and remote offerings when we do come back. Our warriors have really contributed to the community in so many different ways. We, from the very beginning, from sewing masks for first responders to manufacturing hand sanitizers and labs for police officers, to creating virtual engagement opportunities for families sheltering at home. But, perhaps our most impactful contribution was the launch of our COVID-19 mobile testing program, which has been adopted by the state, and a lot more is being done with the help of the state. But even with what we were able to do, we visited over 200 locations in the state and tested more than 33,000 people. And so that was a big, I think, contribution to the state. As I mentioned, I do think that in the fall, we'll be able to return to many of our campus activities. One of the things that we're going to be looking very closely at is the level of immunization that our campus community will have. We haven't mandated that you have to take the vaccine. We were actually the only university in Michigan, and one of the few in the country, that mandated a flu vaccine early on. But we haven't mandated the COVID-19 vaccine at this point. I'd like to see what happens. We're getting a lot of vaccines right now, and we're administering a lot, both at our health center, as well as we've opened up the ballroom of the student center, and we're administering a fair number of vaccines. We're beginning to get as much as we need. And so if the university community gets vaccinated without a mandate, that would be my preference. So we'll see what happens. But if everybody gets vaccinated, or a great majority of the people get vaccinated, then we'll be back. Um, we talk about Warrior Strong, and we introduced the phrase a couple of years ago, but we really do have students and faculty and staff that, particularly this past year, has brought new meaning to the word Warrior Strong. And we have a couple of students today that we want you to meet, and they'll tell you a little bit about themselves. So the first student that I mentioned is really excited to resume in-person classes since much of her work is hands-on and performance-based. I want to introduce you to Larisha Dion. She's a first-year Master of Fine Arts acting student in the College of Fine Performing and Communication Arts. And she's a professional actress, singer, writer, and arts administrator from Wilmington, North Carolina. Larisha, will you please tell us more about yourself?
Thank you, President Wilson, and good evening, everyone. My name is Larisha Dion. I am a first-year Master of Fine Arts acting student, and my program is in the Theater and Dance Department here at Wayne State. I'm also a member of the Hillberry Graduate Acting Company and serve on the council for that company, and am a member of the Student Advocacy Council. I graduated from NYU's Tisch School of the Arts with a BFA in musical theater in 2008, and I recently served as the Director of Operations of the Wilson Center for the Performing Arts at Cape Fear Community College. I've been in several professional theatrical performances, including a double award-winning turn as Billie Holiday in Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Larisha. Let me ask you a question. Reflecting on the past year, what initiatives or opportunities have come about that you're most proud of?
Well, to start, I think our program has been very creative, innovative, and adaptable throughout this time. Navigating the effects of the pandemic in such a hands-on program and profession has been really difficult. But I think as students, we've done a really great job finding pockets of community within each other, amongst each other, and with our faculty. One of the things that has always been of interest to me is equity. And I think the pandemic has highlighted places where we can grow and become more equitable. I've always questioned that if certain systems aren't working, why do we still use them? And I've tried to find ways in this past year to sort of exploit the system in a way that benefits the most diverse group of students possible. Last summer, my colleagues and I formed the Student Advocacy Collective, which is a group of students moving in response to George Floyd and in support of the BLM movement. My department really wanted to be a part of the resurgence, with one of the first tenured Black female professors coming on board. It was part of and is part of her mission to continue that momentum and work to give underrepresented students a strong voice. Another project that I am super excited to take on this summer is my role as artistic director in a Theater for Young Audiences devised production called Fool Me Once, The Great Trickster Championship. And we hope to provide a COVID-safe performance that families in and around Detroit can enjoy throughout the summer. I truly believe in the power of connection through storytelling. So I look forward to bringing together colleagues and undergraduate students that might not have otherwise seen themselves as the first pick. Overall, I'm very passionate about this kind of work, and I'm so thrilled to be a Wayne State Warrior. Our department and this university's ability to still be creative and take care of one another despite the tension, grief, and anxieties of this pandemic, has been beautiful and inspiring. We're sharing our art so that other people can breathe easier and move lighter in the pandemic.
Thank you so much. It really is amazing to see the different types of work that we can all do to benefit our community during these times. I'd like to introduce another student who has given back on the front lines. Mrs. Rachel Charlot, a nursing student. Rachel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, President Wilson. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Charlot. I am graduating in May with a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and a Bachelor's of Arts in Nutrition and Food Science. I serve as the president of the College of Nursing Council at the College of Nursing, and I am the founder and president of Student Nurses Serving the Community. I'm also a former member of the varsity swim and dive team. And last spring, I received an undergraduate research grant from the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program and studied student nurses' experiences with bullying, in their clinical settings.
Well, you know, I know that our swim and dive team is always nationally ranked. It really is very, very good year after year. Did you win any championships while you were here?
Yeah, I was actually a part of 3 GLIAC championships, which is really, really exciting.
Great. So let me ask you another question. What does being a nurse mean to you, and what experiences have you had to support your community throughout this past year?
Well, I really believe that students involved in healthcare have so much to give. And for me, being a nurse is more than a profession. It's a part of who I am. I don't believe that I stop being a nurse when I leave the clinical setting. Caring for and serving other people is my passion. And it's really what I believe I'm here to do, regardless if that's in the hospital or in the community. So I've always been, since I've been at Wayne State, involved in volunteering in the city of Detroit. And there's a lot of diverse need around us. I was volunteering a lot, and I encourage a lot of my classmates to come with me. So we realized through doing that we had a lot to give, and there was a lot of needs surrounding our campus. And we had so many students with so many unique skill sets that could fill in the gaps of what was needed in our community. So I founded the volunteer organization called Student Nurses Serving the Community, which provides volunteer hours to nonprofit organizations in the Detroit area. And I'm really proud to say we have over 50 members now. And COVID was a challenge, not being able to be as close and face to face with the communities that we were serving as we were used to before the pandemic. But we really found ways to pivot and work around it so that we could still support our community in the ways that we can. So some ways that we did that is we had a drive-up donation drive for the Capuchin Soup Kitchen, which was extremely successful. And the organization was really grateful as they saw a huge decline in volunteers and donations throughout the pandemic. In January, we volunteered for a nonprofit called Arts and Scraps, where we created STEM art kits for distribution to Detroit Public Schools kids throughout Detroit, obviously, yeah. We also participated in some socially distanced park cleanups, which was really fun, one being Chandler Park on Detroit's east side. I've also had an amazing opportunity through my clinical learning opportunities to volunteer at vaccination clinics. It's really rewarding to get out there and give back in the field, helping the frontline public health response to the pandemic and vaccinating the elderly and homeless populations here in the city who really need access to the vaccine.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Rachel. You really do truly embody the warrior strong spirit. I'd like to call another student, Ali Rangbaran, who joined us at Wayne State just last year. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Ali.
Hello, thank you, President Wilson, and hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and speak with you guys. My name is Ali. I'm an MD PhD student, and I actually just finished my first year a couple weeks ago, and will be starting my second year in a few days. So I guess I could officially call myself a second year medical student now. I immigrated from Iran to West Virginia actually a few years ago. And after finishing high school and undergrad, I joined Wayne State this year. And Wayne State caught my attention because of its great combination of research opportunities and a community-focused medical education. And that's why I'm here today.
Thank you, Ali. You know, what was it like moving to Detroit and beginning medical school in a pandemic? You know, even in a normal year, that's challenging. But really interested in what your experience was, both pros and cons.
Absolutely. Moving to Detroit and starting medical school specifically was definitely challenging. I moved to Detroit in July, and I lived on campus right on Woodward. I didn't really meet a lot of people. That was probably the toughest part. But I've grown close to my anatomy group, and also my roommate who I met online, who's also a first year medical student. Those small social interactions were good experiences. Besides the fact that those were limited, but having those little ones were some of the pros. I also appreciated the fact that we technically had some extra times to study since we were all home and not able to go outside. So it helped academically, maybe a little bit. Due to those interactions, I was able to get involved with some some student groups, interactions with classmates and also upperclassmates that focused on community outreach and helped to make overall, and it helped to make my overall experience a little bit more engaging. One of those student organization is Diabetes Education and Wellness Clinic, and I'm currently one of the student leaders for this clinic. And it's a student-run, it's a free student-run clinic, and it provides educational resources to diabetes patients in the Detroit area. In our clinic, we have students from multiple disciplines from across campus. We have students from social works, from pharmacy school, from occupational therapy, from dietetics. And the nature is to really bring students together and provide the educational support to the Detroit population and to the diabetes patient who need that education. We provide medication advice, we take their blood sugar and teach them how to take their blood sugar. We provide them with safe exercises and activities and give them healthy eating tips and stuff like that. Typically in a normal setting, we would meet in person and do all that in the clinic, but due to the pandemic, we realized the importance of telehealth. And one of the things that kind of the pandemic, I guess that would be one of the pros, is that it led to our understanding of the need of the telehealth for our clinic and in general in our healthcare system. So what me and my colleague started to realize is that we need a platform that would allow us to have that interdisciplinary clinical setting where we have providers from multiple disciplines, from medicine, pharmacy, and many others at one time to provide that educational support to the patients. And we found that there isn't really a great platform currently that supports that type of interdisciplinary clinical interactions with patients. So what we're currently working on, it's still a very novel idea, but we're working on a resolution with the American Medical Society to submit a resolution for a very affordable and user-friendly platform that allows multiple people to be on a HIPAA-compliant video conference, healthcare providers and the patient to provide that support.
Well, thank you very much, Ali. That sounds like you've really done quite a bit in your first year. We'll see where that your ideas lead to, but it sounds very, very interesting. You know, our final speaker is also a medical student, and he completed his undergraduate degree here, unlike Ali, who's completed elsewhere. Cedric Mutebi is his name, and I have to say that I met Cedric when he was a high school student, and he was real shy, and now he's really grown into himself, and we're very proud of Cedric. Cedric, would you please introduce yourself?
Oh, definitely. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Cedric Mutebi. I am now a second-year medical student, just like Ali at Wayne State School of Medicine. Born and raised here in Detroit. I went to UD Jesuit High School for high school. Ended up coming to Wayne State through the MedDirect program, which is an 8-year scholarship program through the School of Medicine. And just kind of thinking back and reflecting on my time here at Wayne State from my undergrad experience, it was filled with a lot of transformational experiences, and really starting in that very first freshman year. So one of the things that a few of my classmates and I saw right out the gate was a lot of our minority students, especially our African American students, were struggling not only to stay in Wayne State, but also to be successful academically. So through that process and through that observation, we created this mentorship program called the Brotherhood, which was meant to create a culture of academic success for African American men at Wayne State. It helped to contribute to the increase in retention and graduation for Black men in the past few years. And from that, as I continued to go into a lot of my medical studies in undergrad, got involved with the American Heart Association. And through that involvement, was able to actually create a statewide initiative called the University Hands Only CPR Challenge. And I know Dr. Wilson kind of alluded to when we first met in high school. Sports was a huge thing for me, and being able to actually bridge the competition aspect with actually educating the community on heart disease and actually teaching people how they can take action in cardiac emergencies. That was such a fun experience for myself, and was able to actually train over 1,500 people in a week during that challenge, a challenge that's actually still going on. And then from there was able to just kind of tap into a lot of my passions. And I think one of the cool things about Wayne State is their ability to support you. And it really feels like a small, intimate community, despite us having over 20,000 students here. So that was my undergrad experience. I ended up graduating in 2019 in 3 years. I wanted to take a gap year before going to medical school at Wayne State, and then moved to DC and had a 6-month fellowship with the American Association of Medical Colleges. And during that time was working with them on national initiatives to increase representation in medicine. So looking at how we can make this field more accessible to minorities, especially African-American men, and looking at how our numbers as a population of Black physicians hasn't increased since 1978. And through a lot of that work was really able to help to bring the perspective and lens that we had kind of cultivated in undergrad to the medical space as well. So after that 6-month fellowship with the AAMC, then went on to do a 6-month fellowship with the National Institutes of Health, or the NIH, and there was investigating some transplantation research in lung and heart. And that experience was awesome as well. And a lot of these, again, relationships were kind of just facilitated through my experience at Wayne State. And also kind of contributed to my passion and wanting to bring health equity for minorities and different racial groups throughout this country. So after I finished that NIH fellowship, now I'm matriculated to Wayne State School of Medicine this past summer. And similar to Ali, I've had a very interesting experience in Zoom medical school, but I'm still able to engage and develop fruitful relationships and begin this caring for the community that we all love and do.
Well, thank you so much, Cedric. You seems like you definitely had your hands full in quite a bit of activities during both your undergraduate studies, but also in medical school. So now that you're in your first year of medical school, what's been your focus or your community work, and how has the pandemic shaped that experience?
Yeah, so similar to what a lot of people have voiced, the pandemic has really shown us a lot. And reflecting back on all of what year has shown us, with the racial disparities that were kind of exasperated or highlighted with the pandemic, but also a lot of the social unrest and social justice that we were fighting for in the streets. That allowed a lot of organizations and a lot of fields, in particular medicine, to actually look internally and see the ways in which we both actively and passively contribute and perpetuate these racial injustices in our country today. So through a lot of these conversations, we wanted to figure out a way in which we could kind of have dialogue as well as action in figuring out ways in which us as medical trainees, as future doctors, as well as physicians can contribute to this fight for racial justice. So through that, we developed this program and received a $10,000 grant from the AAMC to develop this program called Healing Between the Lines. And it's this community-centered, community-led training program on structural racism and community advocacy, all with the goal of centering the community in the front of medical education and having them actually determine what do they want their physicians to know about them and their communities, what are the ways in which they want to be cared for, and how can we work together to build an equitable community together, especially looking at the specific lens of Detroit here. So the curriculum is broken down into 3 phases. The first phase being history, in which we actually look at the history of structural racism, specifically redlining here in Detroit, and how that's contributed to a lot of the health disparities that we see today. And then we translate to skill building and action, to where we actually look at what are the skills in which physicians bring to this type of work to help to amplify and uplift our communities' work. And then lastly, translating into action to where we actually begin that process of reimagining and rebuilding what policies and systems look like, so that everybody can have an equitable opportunity to achieve optimal health. And like I said, this is a community-led program. So each one of our workshops and each one of our sessions is actually led by a different organizing group, a different activists, and different nonprofits throughout the city. Just to name a few, we were partnering with the Eastside Community Network, CDAD, which is the Community Development Advocates of Detroit, Force Detroit, Data Driven Detroit, and a whole list of organizations which have kind of come in and bring their expertise, but also work interdisciplinary to begin to reimagine what a healthy Detroit can look like. And a lot of the angles and perspectives in which people bring really highlight the different facets of our community, such as transportation, such as education, such as the built environment, and how all these different components influence our health. So the ultimate goal of this program, and I have to shout out some of the people who helped to curate this together, specifically Dr. Ijeoma Opara, Taylor Barrow, Capricia Bell, and Dr. Selena Rodriguez, were able to help to put this together and pull it together and to bring this experience for not only medical students at Wayne State, but residents at the DMC. So hopefully we're able to expand this effort and continue to bridge the community and medical education so that we can reimagine a healthier Detroit together.
Well, thank you, Cedric. And thanks also to all the students. You know, as we were doing this, it just occurred to me that, you know, how much I miss doing this, but I particularly miss interacting with the students because in years past when we were doing these alumni events in person, you know, I really got to know the students, and they really are just phenomenal. And, you know, I think you got a little sense of that from just hearing these students tonight. I have this policy that I don't write letters of recommendations for students to go to grad school because, you know, a lot of students ask me to do that. And if I do it for one, then I got to do it for, you know, others. And it really won't serve them very well if I don't know them really well. And so I just have a blanket policy that I don't do it. But I made two exceptions, and the two exceptions I made have both been for students who have gone on these alumni events with me, and where I got to really see them up close and personal. So hopefully we'll be able to get back together soon, get your vaccinations, and I really look forward to doing that. I'm going to turn things back over to Peter Caborn. Peter?
Great. President Wilson, thank you so much. And I just have to say to Laresha and Rachel and Ali and Cedric, wow, your experiences and your stories and your time at Wayne State is incredibly impressive. And I know that our alumni and friends who are with us tonight are giving you a virtual round of applause. You're certainly what we think of when we say warrior strong, and you are showing the resilience and the spirit that it takes to move forward even in challenging times. So with that, I want to thank all of our alumni and friends who decided to join us for tonight's brief program. I do want to remind you that starting now and through midnight tomorrow night, it is Wayne State University's 5th annual Giving Day. And we have many special funds, projects, and programs that we are highlighting through midnight tomorrow, along with some special donor matches and challenges to increase the impact of your gift. So please do visit givingday.wayne.edu and check out the opportunities that we're featuring. But again, every gift to every area of the university will count toward this year's Giving Day success. So I appreciate all the support that we receive from our alumni and friends. And again, thank you, President Wilson. Thank you to our students. And thank you to all of our alumni and friends who are with us tonight. We look forward to being with you in person again very soon and to seeing you at a future virtual event. Have a good night.